Welcome to This Week in Wyoming Cowboys Athletics here in wyomingathletics.org, powered by ESP Media, powered by Sidearm Sports. I'm Jason Griefer. Once again, we're back with Wyoming Assistant Athletic Director Jeff King. Jeff, good to talk to you once again. Let's get right into it. Let's start first with your boys basketball team off to a 2-0 start in league play. So just one of two remaining unbeatens in the league, yourselves and Indian Hill. And, of course, we're looking at the schedule, and you're going to host Indian Hill on a Monday night before we talk next. So a big one there, but also a big non-conference game tonight. Going to go to Roger Bacon, and they're a pretty good team overall there. But you've got Deer Park in there as well before a 5-game stretch on the road to close the CHL season. So that's going to be tough. We'll talk about that as we go along here, particularly with the Deer Park and the Indian Hill games. And I guess we can talk a little bit more about Indian Hill because they're right at the top with you in the league standings. How big are these two games going to be to take care of, knowing that the last 5 road games in the CHL are not going to be at Wyoming? You're going to travel for those.
It's good. They're going to be huge. I mean, especially because preparing us for the tournament, because we're going to have to go on the road and different sites to play in the tournament. Those Indian Hill games, we have to play them twice also in that stretch. So, we're definitely preparing for a tough matchup there. We lost a really tough one to Mount Healthy over the weekend. So we're looking to bounce back for that. This Roger Bacon one will be a good test for us on the road, going into that stretch when it comes to, playing some league games all on the road at the end of the year.
With that Roger Bacon one as well, and we've talked about they're a very good team. Can that also serve not only as a good test for the rest of the league, but also for the postseason as well, with the quality of opponent that you're not only going to see with Roger Bacon, but once you get into the postseason?
Yeah, absolutely. And we've been trying to do that all year. I mean, the way that we opened up the season with those 3 tough GCL games, playing a tough Mount Healthy team. We rescheduled Purcell later on in the year. That's always a tough game. So trying to get those games in with the league play, especially in how challenging it's been this year with schedule changes and all that. Whatever we can do, having a team like Roger Bacon to go on the road and play them tonight, that's going to be a great test for us and, hopefully really set us up for success in the tournament.
Let's move on to the girls' side, and a really tough loss to Hughes Monday night, which we covered on WatchHSports.tv, a game that was seemingly there for the taking throughout, and it was just one of those nights where a lid just seemed to be on the basket for your team. Like I said, they were in it the entire way, particularly at the foul line. They shoot just 11 of 28 from the free throw line and lose by single digits there. So really tough pill to swallow there. However, a couple of bright spots coming out of it. Meredith Bornhold goes for a career high. She had 20 points. Elise Cup, another big night off the bench for her. She got to double figures for the first time there. We talked about Elise a couple of weeks back, I think, and her production off the bench, is particularly in that first Madeira win and how big she was off the bench there. She's blocking every shot in sight, inside, grabbing offensive rebounds and what have you. But I want to talk about the leadership from Meredith Bornhold, being one of the 2 seniors on this team, and she's been the only one that's really seen extended action. Natalie Strom hasn't been able to be on the floor. But how has Meredith's leadership been and helped Elise grow into a really productive player for you coming off the bench?
It's been really big. Meredith wants to take this program to the next level and leave a great legacy for the girls coming up behind her. This is her last season, as you mentioned. Not a lot of seniors on this team. So for her to have that performance last night against a really tough Hughes team, it's been really big developing not only, Elise, but all the girls underneath her coming up in the program. So we're really lucky to have a girl like Meredith as a leader on that team. Excited to see where that can go with the years to come, the girls that are coming up. And as you mentioned, we change a couple of those shots, sink a couple of those free throws, a couple of those layups.
Yeah.
We're in a game where we can beat a really good Hughes team. But we're excited about where they're at. There's just a couple tweaks, I think, after talking with Coach Isaac, and there's the things that we can fix.
And one of the things that really stood out to me last night as well, and it did back in the Madeira game, but I think more so last night, is this team, your team has size at all five positions. You start, Michaela Thomas and Paige Burke in the backcourt. They're both 5'6". That's good. That's good size for your backcourt. And then your front three are all 5'10" and taller. And then you bring 6'3" Elise Cup off the bench. It makes things so difficult for an offense to try and navigate. And at times we saw Hughes really struggle with that. For some reason, Hughes decided to sit on the ball in the second quarter, which we were talking before we started recording, which was baffling why they did it. But nevertheless, it also means that this is a team that right now, the record currently, is what it is at 6-8. But this is a team I'm looking at. They're better than a 6-win team, and they can be a real problem getting into the postseason, because the old adage goes, you can't teach size, and your team has it in droves.
Absolutely. And especially because we're playing those tough games like Hughes. I mean, we picked up a Summit game over the weekend. We know how good Summit is usually year in and year out when it comes to girls basketball. So all of those things, coupled together, and then with that size going into it, which we're going to need, going into the tournament. I know Coach Isaac is really excited about where this team is. And we got a nice stretch of games coming up. Those girls have a jam-packed schedule the next 2 weeks, really. So going into the tournament, we like where we're at.
It's going to start this Wednesday when Finneytown comes in. We're going to have that game on WatchHSSports.tv, and then Indian Hill and Taylor, and then North College Hill coming next Monday before closing out the regular season next week. Let's move on. Let's talk about your swim teams. They were out at Keating late last week in matches with St. Ursula and St. X. A couple of swimmers we want to focus on here in our conversation. Mia Hagenauer and Kylene Chu go 1-2 in the 200 IM. Mia wins it. Kylene finishes second. We've talked about Mia in past episodes here on the show, and kind of how she's just kind of been, steady as she goes. Just every single match, or every single meet, I should say, just solid performance after solid performance after solid performance. And now we see in her last one, wins in the 200 IM. What have you seen in her development over her time at Wyoming, and how has that culminated now in her final go around?
She's just been such a consistent athlete and leader with developing year in and year out, all the way going back to the soccer team. So she's been someone who we've loved to watch grow. Really excited where she is in her senior year. Super proud of her, especially the leadership that she brings. So where that girls team is, we're going to have a chance to hopefully make some noise at that state tournament, especially going up, in that tough meet over the weekend. So we're excited about it for sure, and super proud of Mia, super proud of Kylene. And there's, list could go on there with the group of girls, but
yeah,
they're in a good position.
You're you do a lot of training of the student athletes there, in addition to your assistant AD roles there. You talked about Mia not only doing what she does in the pool, but also coming over from the soccer team. So she just nonstop there. How good is her cardio level?
She's in really good shape. I probably a cardio level which I wish I could get back to, and I'd still have a tough time keeping up with her. So she was just she's someone who you can throw whatever you want to at her when it comes to the training side, and she's going to smile at you and keep coming. Yeah. And that shows. Swimming is such a hard, demanding physical sport, and I don't know a lot of people realize that, but it's so hard. And for her to consistently compete at the high level she is, it just goes to show what type of athlete she is.
What's next for her? Track and field? What are you going to try and convince her next to do?
Whatever she wants to do, I would be on board for it. That's for sure. We're excited about whatever. I'm sure she's going to be successful in whatever she chooses to do in her future.
She's already successful now, but you can only imagine where she's going to go with her dedication to her craft for sure. Let's switch gears here. Let's move on to the bowling lanes, and let's talk about your boys. 5 wins in a row.
Yep.
Right now, beat Norwood a couple of times. Also took out Summit there. The last one against Norwood, a really tight match there. And so they get the job done there. And looking at some of the scores, just consistency across the board. A team score of 808 in game 1, 796 in game 2, and then 754 in the Baker game. So they're right there, just 1 through 6 as far as this one goes. Just consistency across the board. Now a little bit of time to fine-tune some things, because as of now, it looks like we're not scheduled to be back in action until this coming Monday out at Madison against Marymount there. So, a real good stretch right now for the team. And we've talked here on the show in the past about peaking at the right time and wanting to be, at your best, as you're heading into the end of the regular season and into the postseason. Are you getting that vibe when you talk to Coach Wood that this team, obviously the results are showing with 5 wins in a row, but just in their individual play, are they seeing that right now, that they're trending towards that peak as the postseason nears?
Absolutely. I think we talked when we first started the winter podcast for the season. They had a little bit of struggles at the beginning of the year,
Yeah.
but they've been able to really, like you said, find that groove. And that's what you want at this point in time. Obviously, you love to see the success throughout the whole season, but sometimes you go through those trials at the beginning of the year. It sets you up better for later on. And, we're starting to see that success with them. And we love that string of wins that they're starting to put together.
Over on the girls' side, we talked last week about how they had set a program record with 8 wins on the season. And these girls they're greedy because apparently 8 wins isn't enough. They just keep putting wins together. They picked up a couple of more against Norwood, a tough loss to Summit in the middle right there. So, not all smiles there, but a Summit's always, they always have a very good program. But nevertheless, now a 10-win season, 10-3 on the year. They're sitting at 4-2 in the CHL and still with a chance to win the league title. Now they're going to have to get some help from Reading at the top, who's 3-0 in the league, and Taylor at 4-1. But still, the possibility is there. You'll see Reading in a couple of weeks' time, so that's still a possibility there as well. And it's similar to the boys. We're seeing just consistent team scores every single match. And you look at these last few, Deer Park wins 1650 and 1775. The Norwood wins 1668 and 1694. So not a lot of variance right here. They know what they can do each time out there. Is how much of that is intentional to try to get those similar results every single week? And are they in a similar situation to the boys where they feel like, hey, we're going in the right direction here, and if we can get into the postseason, not only as individuals but as a team, and we can do some damage?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what they're thinking is the consistent play and the consistent rise of their play is what they can hang their hats on right now. Like you said, a 10-win season, that's pretty good, especially consistently. Now they've broken their own record now twice. So,
Yeah.
let's keep it going. I think they're just really excited about that and to continue along with the boys, not only on the individual basis, but if they can go in, make some noise as a team, as a program, it's something that we've been looking to elevate that program and that's a really good first step for, showing up for the years to come too.
We've talked also about this program being an emerging program that was still being built up and trying to get the numbers up. We talked a lot about that last season and trying to get up the numbers for the program so you have enough to get out there and have depth on your team. And so you look at this now, all of a sudden in this season, they've had a lot of success really early and really often. And you see in some instances, you could see some athletes in some various sports or whatever, you kind of take a step back and say, wow, this is pretty easy. And they relax, and all of a sudden the wins stop or they slow down a lot. We haven't seen that from this program. They just continue to push in, match in and match out, and continue to pile up the wins. What has the coaching staff said about the fact that these girls are not resting on their laurels and they continue to want those wins each and every time out, when you see in instances other teams or programs might let up?
Well, they're just proud of them. I mean, they're proud of the way that they want to compete. It goes along with the same thing with the boys' side, where they didn't start that way they wanted to, and the girls then had a goal. Well, let's set the record when they saw that we could do this, and let's keep setting it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's something where the past is the past now. They're looking for the future and looking to keep winning, and hopefully make some noise when we get to the tournament. It's an exciting time for Wyoming bowling, and we love where that program's going.
Let's switch to wrestling. They were at a Miami Trace over the weekend. A lot of wins, a lot of top 3 finishes. We saw some photos of the guys being awarded after their performances. Onyx Mendenhall finishes second there in his weight class, and I saw a picture of him with his gear on. He had his mask on. He looked like Bane with all the traps and everything else. And the old adage goes, he's got muscles in places like I don't even have places for. He's just a big dude, but nevertheless, another really good result there at Miami Trace. The coaches polls come out. You're ranked second in Southwest Ohio behind Ross. Got a number of first place votes, so it's really splitting hairs there as far as who is the best in Southwest Ohio. There, what did the coaches say about the team's overall performance there at Miami Trace, and what comes next for the program?
Again, that's a program where we're really proud of where they're at. We really believe that we can wrestle with anybody, we want to wrestle with anybody. So we're super excited about that. We have a big match coming up tomorrow at Mason High School. We have another good quad match coming up at home on Saturday morning against some really tough teams. So we're going to really see where we're at going into February, and we got some guys where hopefully when it comes to that state championship, we're going to be recognizing some more names. And, like you mentioned, Onyx could be one of them. We've talked about in the previous podcast. He's not a guy I want to wrestle. So
No.
that's, and that could actually be said with pretty much that whole lineup up and down that we have working on. So we're really proud of where they're at. We're excited to make some noise. And, you mentioned the rankings. That's something that we look at, but we know that we can compete with anybody. And we're going to keep that mentality going and hopefully keep stacking up some wins.
Yeah, looking at this, it was that result there at Miami Trace was Onyx's first loss of the season. So now he drops to 16-1 with 12 pins. Bruce Wagers won again. He's still unbeaten, 13-0 with 11 pins. I could go on and on down the line. Jacob Bryan, 17-1 with 13 pins. And I think that's what's just as impressive to me is the fact that with the wins is that so many of these across the board against with all these weight classes, they're doing it by pin. They're not winning on points every match. They're not winning, 15-0 or 10-0 or whatever the case may be. They're pinning dudes every single time out.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to finish the matches that they get in, and they're going to win that way. That's what they want to do. They have that mentality of, I don't care who's across from me on the mat. I'm going to try to finish this and, have that official slap the mat and raise my hand. And that's kind of a great mentality that Coach Lyons has built for that program. They're just such tough kids and super excited about the future where that's going to be.
When you see them wrestle, I'm sure you have some moments where you go, whoa, like what just happened? What just happened right here? Have you, in talks with Coach Lyons, has he had some of those moments this year where it's like maybe some guys, maybe one of your wrestlers just facing off against another guy who's one of the better in the area and they take him down? Does he ever have those moments where he's like, what, I may have something better than I thought I did here?
So I think he does, but then I think he knows what he has and the potential. We still haven't necessarily even tapped into the full potential of it. So I think, when those moments happen, he's kind of like, that's what we've been looking for. And we knew that you had it in you. You're able to do that. Now let's see what else we can tap out of you. Let's see what else we can get, because for so many of those kids, the ceiling is so high for them, where he's such a good coach, puts them in the right position, that I know he has those moments, but it's really, he knows he's preparing them the right way. And it's really exciting to watch.
From what you've seen as we're winding down here on the show, as we're winding down also in the regular season and the postseason's around the corner, the way they have come together the last couple of weeks, do you see one or more state champions here, even if not as a team, individuals? Can they go all the way and win a couple state titles?
I definitely think we have some kids with that ability. I mean, I know we do. The way that they've handled kind of all the distractions and everything that go along with this season, I think you can make the argument that it's crazy that we're even still wrestling. I mean, when it comes to everything that's going on, wrestling's a sport that has eyes on it, to where it's like, how are they able to even get this done? But they've focused on the right goals. They're doing the right things in practice. They're taking care of their bodies. And really, I think we definitely have some kids on this, on this team, that when it comes down to the state championship, we could see some hands being raised.
And for folks out there who are watching or listening to the podcast, if you have any doubts about that, remember our old adage the last few weeks: you don't mess with a wrestler.
That's
And
right.
so if you have questions about it, you can tell those men directly to their faces, and Jeff King and I will be two miles away, and you're on your own. So they're continuing to put it together here, and a really big finish to the season in store, and we'll talk more about that next week for sure. Jeff, certainly appreciate some of the time this week, and looking forward to it a week from now.
Awesome, man. It was fun. Appreciate it. Look forward to talking to you next time.
Absolutely. That is Wyoming Assistant Athletic Director Jeff King joining us here on WyomingAthletics.org for this week in Wyoming Cowboys Athletics here on ESP Media, powered by Sidearm Sports.